Hello guys, Absolute Duelist here, coming at you with a new video, and in today's video, we're going to be looking at the deck that I played at the Treasure Cup. Now, at the Treasure Cup, I admit, I didn't come in the top 64 of the main event, and I didn't come in the top 32 of the side event. That was kind of unfortunate because I was literally one win away from making either of those spots, and I was kind of gutted when I didn't make them. But nonetheless, I feel like the deck performed very, very well, coming 111th in the main event, being able to make the top 128, and also coming 47th in the side event, basically getting into the top 64, but I get nothing. And both of these events were really, really good for one reason alone. They were huge, and I got a lot more experience from these events and learned a lot more about my deck and some of the issues that it actually has. And I'm going to be honest, the only issues my deck has is when I brick. Like, I'll be honest guys, the only games that I lost is games I whiffed with Namis and Bonnies, is games where I literally put 4 Bonnies to the bottom of the deck with Momonosuke's. It's games where I whiffed, just didn't get anything off my searches, and one blue matchup where I lost purely because I did not get to a single 5-drop Trafalgar Law. This deck is really, really good. In testing, it did so much. In play, it did a lot. And in all honesty, the only game that I truly lost because of not bricking was a game where I made a misplay against a Kaido player, where if I literally just killed a king, I would have been fine. Like, day 2 side event, I was fine. The only games that I lost there was literally against a Law player because, again, I didn't draw Law. And then another game because, well, it was just unfortunate. I just didn't draw any good cards. I kept a hand that just didn't help because it had a Nami and a Bonnie in, but I whiffed with them. So it was just like, it is what it is. We didn't get cards that we needed, and because of that, it did cost us games. But nonetheless, that's just a luck factor you're going into the game with, and I feel like the deck performed really, really well outside of that. Literally, out of what, 15 rounds, we won 10 of them. And that isn't bad for a ratio in my opinion, and I feel like it was really, really good, going X3, 6-3 in the main event, and then also 4-2 in the side event. I felt like the deck performed really, really well, and I wanted to show you guys it, just to go ahead and show you the 111th place main event deck, and also the 47th side event deck, out of literally 512 players and 256 players in both events. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and show you guys the deck profile. Hope you do enjoy it. Hope you do like the deck and get some ideas of yourself. And it is actually different from the deck that actually won the Treasure Cup. This is the version that does play 8-drop Kid. So it is more of a control variant that takes a bit longer and also tends to make the game more controlled into your favor. So you can always have tons of resources, whittle down your opponent, and win that way. So hopefully you will enjoy this, but let's go ahead and get into it. So starting off, we are playing the leader Trafalgar Law. What he does is you can pay 2 Don while you have 5 characters, return a character you control to your hand, and then play an opposite colored character from your hand with 5 or less cost. So pretty much he allows you to get your characters back to your hand, get more resources, go ahead and have more resources by playing stuff like Bonnies and Namis for free, and also just cheating out Law 5-drop to go ahead and return another card and play another card for free. So really, really good leader, absolutely insane, and I feel like he is the best leader. If he had more than 4 life, if he had 5, I honestly don't think this deck would ever lose. So yeah, very strong card. Going on to the actual deck though, after we just show off the Don, because obviously we play 10 Don like every other deck, we play 4 Nami. This is very standard. Nami is just your main searcher of the deck, where you play her, you go ahead and look at the top 5 cards and add any Straw Hat card to your hand. You add Brooks, you add Choppers, you add Robins, you add all these really, really strong cards that can just go ahead and protect you, kill things, and just overall help you control the game. We also play 4 Bonnie. She's obvious as well. She's a 1 cost. You go ahead and play her. You go ahead and tap 1 more Don and tap her. And then you look for the top 5 cards of your deck for any Supernova cards. So you're adding Luffy's, Laws, Killers, like all of these good cards, even Zoros, just so you can go ahead and get more cards in your hand, get more advantage, and have good cards for the later on in the game. very, very strong. And then something that I feel is worth it in the deck, but a lot of people don't really like, but I thought was really important because I wanted the additional consistency. I played 3 Momonosuke. Now, there is a reason behind this outside of it just being a searcher, because we only do play 12 Land of Wano cards in this deck. So we're only playing this really for a couple of reasons. First reason, it can search stuff like Nekomamushis, Izos, and Otamas to go ahead and be able to help us control the game in that sense, where we can just go ahead and get these cards to our hand, to have counters in hand, to tap opponents' blockers, and also just be able to get to easier routes with Otama and Jet Pistol, because something that this deck does lose to is 8-drop Kid, so I wanted more ways to have that in the deck, and Otama, Jet Pistol is what we need to ally. So ways to search it is very important, and also I wanted to play it in the deck because I feel like you need to play at least 23 1-drops. This deck really does need 1-drops in it to be able to be functional, and if you don't have access to your 1-drops as soon as possible to be able to go ahead and put them on the board and then cheat out bigger costing cards, I really don't like that. And I was playing 21 drops before testing that out, and I didn't really like it at all, so I chose to put the free Momo in, and once I put the free Momo in with like a few other changes, the deck performed a lot more better because it allowed us to get to more cards consistently, allowed us to keep our advantage in our hand very easily, and it also just gave us extra cards and an additional counter in the deck, which just gave us more power overall. So yes, he's very strong. I really do like Momo in the deck. Would I play him in the other variants? No, not whatsoever. In this control variant though, yes, I would play him because he's just a very useful card. Being a 1-drop, being a searcher, he has everything, and yes, he doesn't search your Laws, he doesn't search your Zoros, he doesn't search any of these cards, but he can get you Otama, and he can get you 2k counters, which is very useful. So we play him at 3. Other 1-drops, we obviously play the 1-drop blockers. We play the 4 Capone and the 4 Chopper. This is standard. You play 4 of each of these no matter what. They're just blockers. You go ahead and place them on the board, block with them, all of that good stuff in their 1-drops. And we also play the 4 Otama, because it's Otama, it's a 2k counter, it can decrease opponents' characters, making it easier to be over them, and most importantly, it helps us get over that Kid. So it really is important being able to get over a drop Kid, and we want to play 4 of this because of that. Those are all the 1-drops. I feel like this is honestly a really good ratio for 1-drops. I haven't had any issues with this ratio whatsoever, so yeah, I'm very happy with the ratio and it's very useful. Going on to 2-drops though, we play the 4 Brook, the 2 Nekomamushi, and the 2 Killer. Now, the Brook is pretty standard. It's mainly there just because it's a 2k counter, and can also go ahead and attach Don on play. Not really anything to say there. We also play 2 Nekomamushi because he can go ahead and rest any of our opponent's characters, which cost 3 or less. So we can go ahead and rest our opponent's Robins, Okikus. We can go ahead and rest blockers. We can go ahead and deal with a lot of things that are problems with the Nekomamushi, so I played 2 of that. And then we played 2 Killer because I really did feel like in all of my testing I needed the additional blockers. Like, having 12 blockers with the 4 Law, 4 Beijing, and the 4 Chopper is good, but this being a blocker that I can just play like turn 2 with like a 1-drop is very useful, and even being able to just slap 1 Don on it to draw a card to potentially get more counters in the hand is very useful. So I chose to play 2 of it. I felt like the ratio was perfect on this, and I really do like how this works because the 4 Brook is just 2k counter. These can go ahead and be blockers, and this deals with the blockers as well. And we play only 2 of this because normally you would play 3, because I didn't really like the amount of 2-drops I had in the deck originally. I wanted lower drop cards, so I chose to cut it by 1 and put the Momos in because we can just go ahead and search it as well. So that's pretty much the point behind that. So those are all the 2-drops. For 3-drops, we play the 3 Zoro. I only wanted to play 3 Zoro because it doesn't have counter. I do like Zoro in the deck, but like, one of the key things in this deck is that you want counter cards, and seeing like 4 Zoro is not going to help. So I play 3 of it. I feel like 3 is the correct ratio. I don't really need to change this whatsoever. 3 Nico Robin. This is garbage against Kaido, but good against everything else. We have a lot of ways to search it with the Namis, so I felt like it was fine at 3, and I didn't really have any issues with it being at 3. I feel like this is the perfect ratio for it. I love it at 3, and yeah, like, it's just a really good card, and I really do love it because of that. Like, honestly, this card is so important as well, guys, because just being able to deal with, like, Bonnies and also blockers on its own, Like there was times even in the tournament where my opponent attacked me, attacked the Robin, and I was just like, you know what? I need a 3k counter. I'm holding a Bonnie and a Brook. I don't want to discard the Bonnie, but this card is just so important that it's worth discarding the Bonnie. So I discarded the Bonnie and the Brook, and because of it, I was just able to kill my opponent's characters slowly and just be able to win the game because of it. It's such a strong card and such a good card in this deck, I swear to God. And then continuing on with something similar to the Robin, we play one Okiku. Now, Okiku is a nice card. I don't think it's an amazing card, but I think it's a really useful utility card where you can go ahead and tap any 5 cost or less blockers, so it helps us get over stuff like queens. And it's also very useful because it can go ahead and tap characters that we need to deal with, which is very, very useful. So we can go ahead and just swing with it every turn, make it 6k into the leader, and then just tap an opponent's character, and then just kill that character. So it's just a very useful card in that terms. Now, I only play one of it because technically it is one of the weaker cards. It doesn't have a counter, so it doesn't do a lot in the hand, and it doesn't really do much outside of just on play, we play it, and if it dies, it dies. If it doesn't, we get to go ahead and utilize it. So, like, the card is very useful. I do feel like it's powerful, but I wouldn't play more than one of it. Hell, I'm even considering cutting it now, just because the main reason we play it is to deal with those blockers. Might try other stuff without the Momo, and if I didn't play the Momo, I don't think I would actually play the Okiku, because the whole point of this card, along with the Momonosuke, is that it's another card that we can search that's just really, really strong. So yeah, like, there's a lot of reasons why we play it, but that's just like the key thing. It's a really good card. I don't want to play more of it than one because it doesn't have a counter, but it is very powerful against like queens and stuff, so we play one of it because of that. But yeah, other free drops as well. We play the 2 Izo. It's a 2k counter that we can search off Momonosuke, and also goes ahead and taps 4 or less characters. And then 1 killer. Now, I play 1 killer because I feel like this is good for tricks with lore. Now, 5-drop lore can go ahead and return characters to the hand, and then play 3 or less characters. So something I kind of like to do, if my opponent's kind of gone for a big swing and I haven't lost anything, what I'll do is I'll just play the killer, kill a 3 cost or less, play a lore, return it to hand, and then replay the killer to kill another card. Like, that's why I play one of this. I feel like you only need the one of it, and I don't really like it at more than one. I don't feel like it helps more than one, and it doesn't really do a lot for me when I've played it at more than one. So I like the one of, I like it for the trick, and honestly, it does have a trigger as well, which can come up if we do get it in the life. So it's just a really useful card when it comes down to that, and I like it as is. I feel like a one of it is fine, and I don't think I'll play more of it. I feel like that's all I really want. So those are all the 3 drops. Going on to 5 drops, we obviously play the 4 Trafalgar Law. Like, this is literally the best character in the entire deck. I want to see this every single game because it just allows us to get so much advantage. 1, it's a blocker. It's a blocker. It can block anything when the opponent attacks. 2, on play, it returns our weaker characters, Zoros, Namis, Bonnies, anything along the sides to the hand, to either get a research on the Nami, to get another attack on the Zoro, to get literally anything back to hand, can add back like Otamas that we had to play to go ahead and decrease the character and then return it to the hand, so we still have that 2k counter in our hand. Like, this card is really, really good. It's insane. And the most important thing as well, guys, is that it's actually got 6k power. Now, 6k power may not seem like a lot, but what I find myself doing a lot of the time, guys, is not even using this as a blocker, because I'll normally have choppers and Capone Beges. I'll normally just swing with it as well to go ahead and put pressure in, make my opponent discard more cards. So the card has so much utility, being a blocker, being just a recycle card, being able to get us more advantage, and just being 6k. Like, the card is really, really insane, and I would not change this out for anything. Like, it's so important. And then we also play 1 Monkey D. Luffy. Now, a lot of people would say, why aren't you playing 2? My reason behind it is, I see this card as more of a game-ending card than as an actual, okay, we're going to play this multiple times and we're going to go for our opponent. Like, I like this card at 1. It doesn't have a counter, which is why I don't want to play it at more than 1. And that's kind of just my logic behind it. I think the card is really cool. I think the card is really, really good. But when I've played this card at more than 2, it doesn't help me because I just see multiples of it in my hand and I'm like, well, now I can't do anything with it. So, like, I do like this card in the deck overall, but I think it's only a one-of, and I would rather play 1 than play more of it. Like, I could try playing it at 2 again, but in all my playing, in this kind of build, I feel like 1 is enough. We mainly put it out later on in the game when we're going to go ahead and try and go for game anyway. So I feel like one of it is perfect. I don't feel like I need more of it. I don't feel like I've ever needed more of it. And in all my testing, one has always been enough. So yeah, those are all the 5 costs. Like, I have been debating again playing like Basil Hawkins and also X-Drake after seeing some of the top deck lists and even the winning list of lore. But right now, that's what I played and I'm very happy with it. And then the last 2 characters we play is 2 Kid. Like, honestly, card is busted. You can only attack it if it has a Don on it, and if you set this up properly with like 3 blockers and itself, your opponent's never getting over this card. Like, there's so many good things about this card that I really just can't express how good it is, and the fact that it's 8k as well also helped me beat over Kaido players very easily, because something I would do is, even if I was just on 8 Dom and I was up against a Kaido player, I was literally just slap this down and just be like, cool, play what you want, man. I don't care, because I've got a Kid, and unless they played the 10-drop Kaido, I just kept the Kid and I kept killing their stuff and I just didn't care. So, like, it's a really, really good card. It's a really powerful card, and just the fact that it's just got 8k helps me beat Kaido players. So, yeah, card is very, very useful. And then the last 2 cards in the deck, the only events we play is 2 Jet Pistol. Now, I did want to play this at free, and I was testing it at free, but I felt like the amount of cards that aren't counter in the deck is very, very hard to keep, like a low number. So I chose to just keep this at 2, and honestly it was fine at 2. I don't have any issues with it at 2. I think 2 is enough, and yeah, I think this is the correct ratio. But yeah, that is the list though. Like, honestly, I'm very happy with how I did with this list. Even though I didn't make the top 64 to win the Chopper, I am happy with how the deck performed. Like, just being the first One Piece event and still having a lot more to learn about Trafalgar Law, seeing how the game's gonna go. Like, we're now going into a new format with the STO5 structure deck in the game. Like, I can't wait to see how much this game is going to progress. I can't wait to see how much more I can do with Trafalgar Law. And yeah, I'm just really, really happy with how this deck performed. And honestly, guys, like, it's just a really, really strong deck and has a lot of different capabilities that makes the deck just so powerful and really worth playing. So guys, this is my Trafalgar Law deck profile, my top 128, 111 place in the main event, and also top 64, 47th place in the side event. I hope you did enjoy it, and yeah guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Absolute Duelist, signing out.